That guy should
Really?
Sit down. All he's got to do is go up there and say, we put together a budget that projects $300,000.
I really don't.
Thank you. Great. Awesome.
Everybody signed it.
Okay, I gotta get the signs.
Let's go. Then go.
Welcome, everyone. Happy to see such a crowd here tonight for the City of Joliet regular meeting, Tuesday, December 4th. With our Mayor, Robert Odekirk. We will start with an invocation from Mr. Herbert Brooks, his #1 assistant, who could not be here tonight. We have instead Reverend Vincent Shelby from the St. John's Church.
God bless you. May we stand. Almighty God, enlighten our eyes that we may see clearly your purpose for this great city. And grant your wisdom to these dedicated leaders. Father God, provide the ability to discern the good from the best, and the very useful from the not so useful. Allow these leaders to choose the harder right over the easier wrong. I ask this day for your blessings on the decisions of this body and the agreements that are made. Bless each of them to be great leaders. Bless those who work each and every day to make the city better. Bless the first responders who place their life in harm's way for the betterment of the citizens of this great city and communities. I also pray your blessing for the mayor, the councilman, each member present here today, and their families. In the name of my Savior, the Most High God, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Sit down.
Good job, thanks.
Thank you very much, Reverend.
God bless you, Vince. Thank you so much.
Good to see you again, Vince. Have a great day.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk,
Here.
Councilman Dickinson,
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Here.
Councilman Girl,
Here.
Councilman Hug,
Here.
Councilman Morris,
Here.
Councilman Mudrin,
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman, Councilman Turk.
Here.
Mayor, before the presentation on the budget, I would like to invite Al Rochner to the podium. Mr. Rochner has nearly 3 decades of law enforcement experience, beginning in 1991 as a patrol officer for Joliet. During his tenure with the Joliet Police Department, Mr. Rochner spent time in the Neighborhood-Oriented Policing Team, Special Operations Squad, Tactical Narcotics and Investigation Units. For the past 10 years, Mr. Rochner served in a commander position with increasing responsibility. First, overseeing operations for the 70-person Illinois Law Enforcement Alarm System Mobile Field Force, then the Operations Division, where he was responsible for 210 sworn personnel and 41 civilian staff, and most recently, the Investigations Division for the past 4+ years. In addition to directing daily operating functions of the department as a commander, Mr. Rochner worked to create the BESST program, Belts, Education, Speeding, Stop Sign, and Texting, a new driver education program implemented across the city and the city high schools. Mr. Rochner also helped to design and implement the 12-hour shift schedule for patrol officers, create the department recruitment committee, and mediate between unions at the division level. I'm proud to appoint Al Rochner to the position of Chief of Police of the Joliet Police Department. Ms. Desiderio, please administer the oath of office.
Repeat after me. I, Alan Rochner,
I, Alan Rochner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the City of
and
Joliet,
the ordinances of the City of Joliet.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
And I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Police Chief
of the Office of Police Chief
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Worked at home, huh?
Thank you, City Council members, Mayor Odekirk, Interim City Manager Marty Shanahan, for giving me this opportunity to continue to serve the City of Joliet in the capacity of Chief of Police. Thank you to all the Joliet Police Department men and women for showing your support tonight, but more importantly, your hard work and dedication to this community. You make me proud every day with your fine, compassionate police work and volunteerism. Thank you to past command staff members whose belief in me helped me become the leader I am today. There's a lot of people here, friends and family. Thank you all for being here tonight. I have some siblings and their families here tonight. My mother, Sandra Rochner, who's right here. Thanks, Mom. My my sisters, Andrea, Audra, Adrian, and Amy, and my brother Andrew. As you see, they're all A's. There you go. Probably a school thing, but it did not work the way she planned. Anyway, I have the utmost gratitude for all of them and for their love and support throughout my life. Growing up in a big family taught me a lot of life lessons. A lot of life lessons, you know what I mean? I'd like to acknowledge a couple of very important people who are not here tonight, who have passed on.
Take your time.
First, my father, Andrew Rochner, who taught me to work hard, put kindness first, and serve others. And also my mother-in-law, Kager Paris, who also believed in me and always said to me that I'd be chief someday. She always said. I'd like to thank my wife Nancy and daughters Catherine, Haley, and Zoe over here, and also Kat's husband Vic and our grandson Nico. All of them.
Nico, right.
The cool guy over here. All of them bring such joy to my life. After sometimes very grueling and sad days that we have at work, it's these people who help me keep it real and know exactly what to do or say to put a smile back on my face and in my heart. And my wife Nancy, thank you for always being there and pushing me to be my best. Love you. Going forward, I plan to work closely with our community leaders to help meet their needs and provide the best possible police service to the community. Working with the community for a safe city means more than just words to me. To me, it is the way of life at our police department. Policing has taken several hits across the nation in the past few years. As we know, our men and women in blue are putting their lives on the line every day for this community. It is my job to make sure that they have the tools, the training, and the emotional support to do the jobs effectively and safely. I expect them to work hard to do the job by the standards of which they were trained with, honesty, integrity, and compassion, while treating all people with dignity and respect. I'll expect them to continue to be active in our community and always reminding our citizens that we really are here to serve and protect you. I'm humbled and honored to be able to lead these fine people who do the hardest job around. God bless them. May they return home to their loved ones safely each and every night and after each and every shift. Again, thank you for this opportunity. I'm not going to let you down. Thank you.
Baby.
Misty.
Get in there, Al. It's a good looking one up front.
Wow. Yeah. We know better.
This way?
Or this way. Or this way.
Make sure you get these.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, Sal.
Very good.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right. Good one, David. You got it, baby.
Carry on.
I guess you can go now. Come back tomorrow, please.
You're right. Come
Marty?
back to it.
Al can go, but everybody else has to stay for the whole meeting.
You're right.
I guess now's your opportunity because we're going to start talking about the budget.
You're right. Everybody jumped up and left. Man, that could empty out a room, I tell you.
Give them a minute here.
That is so good. Yeah, yeah, it is a good day. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. A lot of great support. That's it. Great support. Glad to have
Yeah.
Yeah, get some order in here.
Protective sections here, undercover, lieutenants, captains.
they gave us the invocation. We said, Coach, Little League football.
I beat him when I ran for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Vince, yeah, sure did.
Good. Okay.
He's got a rash on his face.
Three. Next on the agenda, under presentations, is a discussion on the city manager's proposed 2019 budget.
Before inviting Jim Guidotti,
I'll get you one elevator.
we can just go? Yeah. Before inviting Jim Guidotti to the podium, there are two changes I am going to recommend. First is a reduction of the fire department budget overtime to $1.5 million from $2.3 million. When calculating the original figure of $2.3 million, I simply took the past 3 years of overtime and divided by 3. However, what I did not take into consideration is the hiring of the 15 new firefighters in 2018, and now the fire department is fully staffed. Over the past year or so, we heard, most recently in September, that by hiring more firefighters, the overtime will be greatly reduced. So I looked historically over the past 3 years, the times when the fire department was fully staffed, took the amount of overtime for those pay periods and extrapolated that figure over the course of the year. I factored in raises and applied a multiplier of 1.5 to come up with the amount of 1.5 million. Now, the second recommendation is the withdrawal of the request to increase the gas tax. These two recommended changes would result in a return of approximately $300,000 to the general fund. However, there is a project on the north side of downtown, and I anticipate we'll hear more about that project in January. In all likelihood, that project will have expenses in 2019, and those are not in the 2019 budget. We also had some preliminary internal discussions about a new position in the city, one that I would like to see, a public information officer, but that position is also not in the budget. So now I invite Mr. Guidotti, the finance director, to the podium for a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'd like to present to you a short synopsis of the city manager's recommended budget for 2019. This is an overview of all of our funds, our revenues. It looks, we are budgeting about $261.7 million for all of our funds. What's important about this is that the city of Joliet has 20 separate funds. All these funds have self-balancing set of accounts. They all have their own revenues and their own expenditures. We do not have any funds, any line items that are not in the budget. There are no off-the-book accounts. Given that, the 2019 recommendation for expenditures is about $280 million. The reason that's more than the revenues is because we have several accounts that are for capital items. And what happens is we try to accumulate funds, build up a fund, and then spend that money for capital items. A good example is the motor fuel tax fund. It gets about $3.7 million a year. However, some projects are more than $3.7 million. So you'll see in the motor fuel tax fund, we are looking to spend about $7.6 million. Where that money is coming from is revenue that we have accumulated over the years so we can do larger projects and more streets over time. Another example of a capital item that has no revenue is the water and sewer improvement fund. We are looking at spending about $12.2 million on water and sewer improvements. And I will discuss that a little bit more when we get to the water and sewer fund. This is a snapshot of where our net position and undesignated fund balance will be that we predict at the end of 2019. An important factor to remember here is the top funds are under the modified accrual accounting fund. In a simple statement, that means that these funds do not depreciate. That when a capital item is purchased, it's expensed in the year that it's purchased. The two funds on the bottom three funds are the Water and Sewer Fund, the Water Replacement Reserve Fund, and the Parking Fund. Those are full accrual accounting funds. And what that means is when you purchase a capital item, it is not expensed in the year that you purchase it. It is expensed over the life of the capital asset. So those funds are run much like a business would be run. The general fund is recommended to have revenues of $184.7 million, expenditures of $184.4 million. So as the interim city manager said, we will have revenues about $300,000 more than operating expenditures. The Water and Sewer Fund will have revenues about $57.3 million. Expenditures are estimated to be $55.5 million, and the increase in net position is recommended to be about $1.79 million. So we will be adding to our cash balance in the water fund. However, as I said earlier, we are looking at spending about $12.2 million in capital expenditures. The parking fund is operating revenues equal operating expenditures, which is the definition of a balanced budget, about $1.85 million. And this is operating the parking system as is, with no capital improvements, which we are going to have to address in the parking system in the future. Our operating funds. The general fund supports the general activities. Everything that the city does is not in a special revenue or accrual accounting fund is in the general fund. We do the police and fire protection, planning and economic development, engineering, code enforcement, garbage collection, legal services, financial services, and general administration. The water fund provides operations for the water and sewer system, including 3 wastewater treatment plants, 539 miles of combined and separate sanitary sewers, 26 wells, 11 treatment plants, 580 miles of water main, 7,500 fire hydrants, and 38 lift stations. Our parking fund supports the 2 parking decks, 7 parking lots, 412 on-street meters, 19 on-street pay stations, which, as you remember, we installed within the last year and have been very successful, and over 700 on-street parking spaces. The expenditures for 2019 compared to the 2018 budget, we are looking at increasing the general fund expenditures about 2.62%, and that's about $4.7 million. The water fund, about a 1.41% increase, and that's under $1 million. And the parking fund, we're actually recommending a decrease of 3.14% in the expenditures, which is about $60,000. The general fund is our main fund. Again, we're recommending $184.7 million in estimated revenues, an increase of $10.1 million, or almost 5.8% over the 2018 budget. Included in this is an increase in the property tax levy of about 4.9%. This 4.9% is all due to new construction or growth. The estimated assessed value for next year is estimated to be about 6.13% increase. So most citizens should see a reduction in the rate of their property tax for the city of Joliet next year. The library has requested levy to be the same as their 2018 levy, $6.024 million. The increase in additional positions from the 2018 budget is we've included 2 additional code inspectors, about $112,000 in salary, assistant corporate counsel, which has already been added this year, but was not in last year's budget, and a legal secretary, court services coordinator, and that person will be administer adjudication. Adjudication started at November 1st of this year. It's just getting up and running, and we should start seeing increased revenue from taking those cases in-house rather than sending them to the county. We have committed to funding the police and fire pensions to have them 90% funded by the year 2040. That was actuarially computed by our actuarial firm, and it will increase our police pension contribution by about 1.4 million and our fire pension by 700,000. But this is something that we're committed to funding, and it's a good thing that we will be funded by 2040. We are around 50 to 60% funded right now, which is not great, but it's not bad either. If you follow the pension, the statewide, there are some systems which are a lot less. Our allocation also includes phase 1 of the city comprehensive plan, installing the county courthouse parking lot for about 1.2 million, which we committed to when Will County Courthouse was going up, and continued support of the Historical Museum, 275,000, the Will County Courthouse, $500,000, and the Rialto Theater at $500,000. Those are exactly the same as we funded on the 2018 levels. The budget also includes an increase in salaries of 2%. That is what was negotiated with our unions. Those contracts all will run out at the end of 2019. So we will have a negotiation sessions throughout the year when we settle with well, let's say settle, let's feel good about it with our unions. Our general fund, as interim city manager said, includes $1.5 million in fire department overtime. In the legal budget, we have gotten a hold of our settlements. We are budgeting $265,000, but it does take $1.5 million of professional services to litigate all of our settlements. There was a request from the departments of $54.9 million in capital projects. Unfortunately, in our operating budget, we were not able to fund that amount. The city manager is recommending about $2.6 million. That includes $62,000 for scales for the overweight truck enforcement, $49,000 for 25 automated external defibrillators, better known as AEDs, $1.2 million for the Union Station parking lot, $22,000 for a signage at the old Union Station, and $60,000 for street lighting. There are 3 separate divisions which have not been in prior budgets. One is adjudication. We have budgeted $185,000 for that. The Gateway Center, which is known as the new Union Station, the train station, $191,000, and the Joliet prison at $36,000. I will say that those do not, prison does not include overtime. The overtime is budgeted in either the police or the fire budget. It's not in the prison budget. And we are continue funding ash tree removal at about $300,000. This is a graph of our revenues. You can see our biggest revenue sources are sales taxes and property taxes, which is almost half of our budget. But there are other taxes which are graphically shown here. And this is a graph that shows all of our major sources of revenue. Some of the revenue, for example, sales tax, we're looking at about $50.5 million this year, and we're estimating budgeting that next year. Let's hope the economy keeps up and that we will be able to meet that. Another tax that is not here is the use tax. Most of us know about the Wayfair versus South Dakota case, where we can now start levying a use tax on internet sales. It's not a sales tax because the Supreme Court realized that sales tax is different across the country. And they thought it would put too much burden on the people who sell internet sales, so they, as a use tax, it's gonna be a flat tax. We have estimated about 10% increase in the use tax. However, that's kind of the rule of thumb that most cities are using now. It could come in higher once the collection, it started October 1st, the collections really haven't started kicking in yet. We should start seeing that revenue coming in probably February of next year. This is a breakdown of our departments for the $184.4 million. As you can see, it's the police department and fire department, human resources. The reason the human resources is so high, as I must point out, is that all the city's health care is in the human resources budget. We do not decentralize that charge, so you can see why that's so high. And there's the rest of the departments. Again, you can see this is expenditures broken down by line item. You can see that in our general fund budget, about 83% of our budget is for salaries and benefits. This is just a breakdown of our different items for the expenditures in the general fund. Again, we're looking at a change from the estimated year end, a reduction of about $700,000 or 0.38%. Some additional considerations is if you look through your budget, each and every department has a 5-year expenditure history, their accomplishments for 2018, their objectives or their goals for 2019, and the City of Joliet did receive the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for their 2018 budget. This was the second time that the city has received the budget, and I firmly believe that our 2019 budget will receive the award also. The recommended budget includes a projected fund balance of $52.3 million, or 28.3% of our operating expenditures. And our goal, our written fund balance goal is to have 2 months, which is 16.67% of the unassigned balance. So you can see that our fund balance is strong, but that is kind of our rainy day fund. We do not have a budget stabilization fund, so we need to use the fund balance for unforeseen expenditures. So it's better to have it high than at our minimum goal. There's some departmental highlights. Again, in the human resources, we have budgeted $1.1 million for salaries for payouts upon retirement. Our employees can have sick, vacation, and some compensatory time, depending on the union. And once a person retires and they have those in their banks, it's paid out. We included an increase of $1.335 million in hospitalization costs. And also in there is $364,000 for health and spousal opt-out for the all employees in the city. The community development budget has what we call a subsidy. As I mentioned earlier, the subsidies are recommended be the same as last year's budget, except for the Will County Courthouse. We added that this year because that kicked in because they have the footings over there. That was our agreement with them. So we are recommending $500,000 for the Rialto, $275,000 for the museum, the Joliet Chamber of Commerce, $36,800, Will County CED, $50,000, Title 20, $170,000, the courthouse at $500,000, and the Pace Route 511 at $15,000. That's the route that goes down to Center Point, which we agreed with Pace. If they put in that route, that we would help subsidize it. There's 200,000, next year, the Community Development Department will be going full tilt on the citywide comprehensive plan. Also, there's tax rebates that we've agreed through incentives, about 824,000. That's about 100,000 less than current and prior years, and that's because 2 of our incentives have expired. So we'll have less incentives. They were over 15, one was over 15 years and one was over 23 years. And included in the community department is 2 additional code enforcement officers, so we can be proactive on our code rather than just reactive and do just complaint-driven code violations, and be more proactive to have 2 officers out there on the street. In the city manager's budget, again, we've included equipment for Channel 6 of about $25,000. In the legal budget, again, there's $1.58 million for professional and contractual services. However, our legal claims are way down. We are budgeting $265,000. 3 years ago, it was $2.7 million. So we've gotten a handle on our legal claims, and hopefully we won't have a big one that messes that up. And again, we've included adjudication, about $185,774, and most of that is for the court services coordinator, our administrator who follows all the detail, and the hearing officer is a contractual person. We pay them by contract. Information technology includes $384,000 for our telephone. As you know, we updated our telephone to Vonage and this year, and that's going to be about $384,000. That may seem like a lot, but telephone expense has been removed from everybody's budget, so it's actually less than what it was last year. In the fire department, again, we have increase in pensions about $700,000. Overtime has been put at $1.5 million. Finance department, and we put $1 million into the IMRF. When a person retires and they have their retirement increase because of the payouts, which we discussed earlier, vacation, sick, and comp time, the IMRF requires us to fund that in year 1. About 4 years ago, that was funded over the life of the pension, but IMRF changed their rules. We have to pay that as soon as the person retires. This year, it's going to be about $1.5 million, but we expect a lot less retirements next year. There's also our continued support for Tyler Munis. That's our computer system. That's about $410,000. And the ballpark is in the finance budget, and we are budgeting about $150,000 for repairs. In the police department, we have about a $1.4 million increase in pensions, and overtime is set at $2.76 million. That is consistent with what we estimate this year. Public Works Department, we have $400,000 in there for the tree removal, $250,000 for a manager for the Hobart Road project, $130,000 for the downtown floodplain consultant, and that would be what the interim city manager mentioned earlier, may be an expenditure that we're going to have to address next year. But we're going to have to bring in a consultant and look at the floodplain and develop a strategy as how we're going to address the floodplain, which was increased quite a bit. We have $300,000 in there for the sidewalk program, and our budget for the Gateway Center, $191,000, and the Joliet prison is included in the Public Works Department. These are 2 divisions which were not included before 2018. Both of them became active in 2018 and are budgeted for 2019. With that, we'll move on to the Water and Sewer Fund. We all know about water and sewer bills, and we are looking at $57.3 million in system revenues. Expenditures at about $55 5.5 million, but included in the expenditures is 12.5 million in depreciation. Our request for expenditures increased 1.4% from 54.7 million to 55.5 million. Keep the service levels consistent with 2018. It provides for increased maintenance costs of the aging system. And it includes in there $12.2 million in capital improvements. What's important about that is if you look up there, we're depreciating at 12.5 million, but we're also adding 12.5 to 12.2 million. So we're almost fully funding our depreciation, which means we are replacing our deteriorating assets with cash rather than borrowing. A 7% increase, which was approved for council, was initiated November 1st, 2018. And it includes 73.2 million in infrastructure improvements funded by IEPA loans. There's also 300,000 that we are going to put into our water replacement reserve fund. Allison Swisher made a report on that last night. That will bring the fund balance of that up to 700,000. I know it's not a lot when we're talking about replacing our water reserve, but it's a start. And we started that 2 years ago. We put 100,000, 300,000 this year, and we're recommending another 300,000 next year, and that's seed money. Guess I'm done. As you can see, our water and sewer fund is charges for usage, water and sewer. It's 93%. Fines and fees are very small, and others. This is breaking our water fund down by divisions. So the important thing to see here is, if you look at this deck here, that's been growing year after year, and that's our revenue bonds, which we only have one left, but that's mostly our IEPA loans. When we did the water study about 2 years ago, we are on course to not borrow for replacement, and that goes back to funding our depreciation. Again, our operating expenses, about 30% is payroll and benefits, quite a bit lower than our general fund. Again, look at our debt service is about 18% of our total expenditures. We are building, we are improving our system constantly. We still have some borrowing to do, but again, we hope in the future to reduce that borrowing, not pay interest costs, and to fund our improvements through cash. Our parking fund, about 1.85 million in revenues, increased about 42,000. And we intend on operating the parking system consistent as 2018. Expenditures of 1.85 million is a decrease of 3.29% from the 2018 budget. And our operating revenues equal our operating expenditures, a balanced budget there. However, again, there's no capital improvement in the budget for the parking system. We are going to have to address that in the next few years. You can see most of our parking revenue is coming from fines, about 54%. Those are parking tickets. We have added a collection agency, and we have sent our first batch to our collection agency just in October. So we should start seeing our older parking tickets finally being paid, because there was a lack of follow-up on collecting those. They were allowed to sit, and many people just didn't bother paying, but they will be contacted by our collection agency in the next few months. And, they hopefully we'll be able to raise that revenue quite frankly, I'd rather not have parking tickets. I'd rather have everybody, you know, park right, but it's part of running a system. And our expenses is broken down by division. We have collections, meter, the Union Station, and parking operations. Other is basically depreciation. With that, again, that's a short synopsis. It's really a 3-month process that we sat down. I sit down with the city manager initially. He sets up meetings with every department head. We go over the department line item by line item. Again, every line item in our book of accounts is in this budget. Every line item in this budget is audited. It's presented in a comprehensive annual financial report, and auditors come in and go over these books with a fine-tooth comb. So I believe we are running a good financial system. We have balanced our budget, and with that, I thank you for letting me do this presentation. I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Questions? Mayor? Yeah. Me? Jim, just 2 questions. Did you say the use tax is not represented in the budget for 2019 or not separated out?
It wasn't separated on that chart.
Okay.
If you look in the revenues under general fund, in the chart it was under other taxes. But it's an important issue that a lot of people are asking about now, what's happening with the use tax. But in the budget where we list actually almost 3 pages of each line item, you can find the use tax.
Just wanted to clarify that because frankly, we're flying blind on any kind of an estimate because it's a new concept.
Yes.
Okay. The other question, I noticed, you know, sewer revenues were much higher in the revenues
Correct.
than the water. Is there a reason for that? That we got more going out than coming, you know what I'm saying? More sewage than water.
Yeah, the rate is a little higher in the sewer. Basically, that's to run the stormwater system.
Okay.
There's been a lot of discussion of separating and having another fund for stormwater and one fund for sanitary sewers.
Okay, and then what I would notice, and it was a great presentation, and it's a good budget. It's a balanced budget. We've worked hard as a council, the mayor, yourself, city managers, over the last few years to really bring the budgets in line, and this one is, you know, what I've been asking for several years, and we all work towards, is a truly balanced budget out of the gate. You know, the economy has healed somewhat, so we've gotten increased revenues. I see some good signs that our economic development push that we've done over the last 4 years is really starting to pay off, which keeps the taxes down for the rest of us that live in the community by bringing in new development. And, you know, I would just say, great job, and I think as a council, I'm going to give it a teaser, and let's see what we can do next year then, about working towards increasing the $300,000 on sidewalk replacement and increasing, although we will increase road resurfacing and repairs, because the new truck stop Loves ultimately will bring in an extra over $1 million. That's like an extra 30% of our yearly budget for road repairs through the motor fuel tax, correct? You know, if we go from 3.5 million to almost, you know, almost 5 million, if we get 1 to 1.4 million. So that's my comments. You answered my questions. Thank you. And this is a budget I'm very happy with.
I just have a statement. I'm happy to see 2 code enforcement officers created for this, and that will help us keep up with enforcing our ordinances and getting some more revenue, because people just do whatever they want sometimes, and as you said, they don't bother paying anything. Or it's missed by our staff because they're such short staff. So the 2 added code enforcement officers, which came out of Mr. Morris's committee, Land Use and Legislative, and it was a recommendation, and I'm happy to know, guys, that we did good work on that committee, so thank you, city manager.
Couple of questions. Jim, the sales tax projection, you know, was up, you know, $295,000 from 17 to 18, and or 16 to 17, 17 to 18, 3.4 million. And now it's going to go up to probably another $1.5 million to 50.5 million.
Correct.
Is that aggressive, or is you okay with that, or?
Well, that is what we project coming in this year.
Okay.
And it looks like we're going to hit that right on the head. I'm optimistic and hoping that the sales keeps up in the next year. Again, that's tied to the economy, and I think it's tied to jobs. I mean, the unemployment rate in the state is very low, and people have expendable income, and they're exercising their expendable income, and that goes right to our sales tax.
And then the other line item on revenues was interest earnings. It looks like it's going up from, from what, about 180,000 to 480,000? Are we getting more aggressive with our investments, or?
Well, before, when interest rates were at from 0 to 1%, we really didn't invest it. We left it in the bank because that lowered our bank charges, and our bank was paying more than what we could earn. So that would show up in the expenditure line item. Now that interest rates, the 91-day rate, as of today, was about 2.25%. 2 years ago, it was at 0. Quite frankly, it would cost me more to transfer the money to buy a CD than just leave it in the bank and take the compensating balance on our expenditures.
And then the overtime in the police and fire budget, does that include, is reimbursable overtime included in that?
No, that's a separate line item,
that's a separate line
and
item.
it's also a separate revenue line item.
Okay, great. And then the tax levy went up 4.9, but that's to capture the increase in the assessed valuation, correct?
It's to capture new construction and the growth on the construction from prior years.
So the
Like
rate.
I said, the EAV is going up 6.2%. So
So
as it balances out, the city of Joliet rate should go down.
The rate should go down, but the only way a property owner would realize an increase in their city portion would be if their assessed valuation went substantially up over that rating,
Correct.
of that rate.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Betty?
I have nothing. Your answer, he asked my question.
Okay.
So it's good.
I think they said, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Great work.
Great report. Thank you.
So why don't, right now, a motion would be in order to set a public hearing date for the proposed 2019 budget for Monday, December 17th, 2018.
So
I
moved.
would make such a motion.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to set a public hearing date for the proposed 2019 budget for Monday, December 17th, 2018. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye?
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillen?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda under mayor's appointments?
None.
None this evening. Approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye?
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillen?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Seeing none. Next is council committee reports. First is CTIS committee.
You okay there? CTIS met this evening in the executive chamber over here, next to the dais at 5:30. Chair people are Councilman Betty Gavin and Councilman Pat Mudrin. Staff is David Brainer, Chris Sternal, Amanda Dite. And we talked about several items that are going to save us money over time. And I'm going to have Mr. Brainer explain all these wonderful things. For example, removing the payroll from ADP to Tyler Munis, because ADP is more for regular business, IBM and things like that. They're not really conducive for municipalities. The initial cost is going to cost us more, but in the end, it's going to save us $1 million. The adjudication process with the parking tickets, as was discussed earlier, is a new process where they're going to have iPads and they can pop out the ticket right away after they take a picture. And then the VMware license renewal, and I'm going to, the cost savings of 7%, but I'm going to have Mr. Brainer do the details.
Yeah, I can keep this fairly brief. We've been with ADP, we'll be coming up on our 4th year at the end of this month. At the end of the day, the Tyler Munis ERP system that we chose has a payroll module and a HR module that we believe would be a better fit for the city. In addition to that, the overall cost for that system is significantly less than ADP. So all indicators are saying it makes sense for us to make this move. Moving payroll systems isn't fun. It's like nails on a chalkboard for a whole year. But I know we got to do it, and it's the right thing for the city. And at the end of the day, we'll save about $1 million over a 5-year period, and thereafter the costs just get better. And it'll also complete the pie. You know, today we have an ERP system, but yet we have this separated HR payroll module. So for those reasons, we're going to be moving that direction. We're in the final T's and C's of the agreement, and assuming that comes to fruition, we'll make that a reality. Secondly, we spoke about adjudication that's moving forward. A big piece of the puzzle is to try to make the city efficient on the front end and make sure that data is accurate and correct so that we can adjudicate correctly for the citizens of Joliet. And the efficiency is a big part of it, so we can have correct data as it flows through the process. So that's moving along, and a big piece of that was using technologies out there like LPR, which is license plate recognition, so we don't get dyslexic with numbers and so forth. So a lot of that technology is going to be coming forward in this project, which will allow us to be accurate and ultimately will be effective with that project. Last piece that we discussed in CTIS was just what are we working on in 2019, and we're going to be looking mainly at our mobile fleet. We got about 260 laptops that we got to get from Windows 7 to Windows 10. We got to get those on the domain. That's a security exposure, so we're working on those. And we're also going to be looking at technology for our squads to try to see if we can bring them up to yet another level of technology to help us be safe out there while we're working the streets at night and so forth. So that basically summarizes what we talked about. Do you guys have any questions on this?
David, thank you. I apologize, I left out Councilman Dickinson. He also attended our meeting this evening. And members, do we have any other questions or statements? Did I get it all?
Covered.
Okay, that concludes our report, Mayor.
Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
The Public Service met yesterday at 4:30 here in the Executive Conference Room off to my right. On the committee and in attendance was Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Dickinson, and myself. Also in attendance was Director of Public Works Jim Trisna and Director of Public Utilities Allison Swisher, as well as Manager of Roadways and many other duties, Mike Ulitz. We essentially had a number of contracts we looked at. To summarize the contracts, they were basically recharging our systems, if you will, or our supply system for 2019. We let out, reviewed 3 or 4 contracts for chemicals that are necessary for water treatment, and we looked at those bids and vetted them, as well as electrical parts for our street lights and electrical parts that we need to keep in stock. Very much housekeeping. Same thing under the change orders, pay estimates, and final payments. Again, very routine. Everything is on tonight's agenda, except for the one item, which was a request for authorization to approve one particular change order, closing out the landscape, which only required committee approval. All other items are on tonight's agenda for the full council. There were no ordinances and resolutions, and nothing else to report. So everything that was reviewed that was by committee and is on tonight's agenda received a unanimous vote from the council members, recommending that the rest of our colleagues up here, the council, approve them. And other than that, I don't think I left anything out today.
No, that was everything.
Okay.
Good job.
That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you.
I show no other reports. Under consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on November 19th and the minutes of the council meeting held on November 20th, 2018 stand approved as recorded. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under licenses and permit applications, Council Memo 619-18, issuance of a Class B liquor license, 3000 West Jefferson Street, the dock at Inwood. It's recommended the dock at Inwood be issued a Class B liquor license.
Krista? Yes.
Question. So I was notified yesterday that the question I asked to half of the dock at Inwood was not a fair question. So that today, he would like to have another chance with the other half of the team to tell us why he understands liquor and can run the operation. I think it's supposed to be Rick.
You step up to the podium.
Are you the silent partner?
Silent. Good evening. You have questions?
The question was, are you qualified to run this establishment here in the city of Joliet?
I am qualified. I have a lot of experience, have ties to the city. I'm excited to bring a great establishment that the city will be proud of.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Wasn't expecting it. Thanks, man.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve a Class B liquor license for the dock at Inwood. Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin,
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, under public hearings, Council Memo 621-18, ordinances and a resolution associated with Corridor 80 subdivision.
Mayor?
Yes.
I received a call from the applicant's attorney, the same one who was here yesterday, about 2 hours ago. He's requested a continuance to the January 15th meeting to finalize and clarify a due diligence matter with their in-house counsel.
You want to table this? You want to do the public hearing anyways, or hold off on everything?
Well, I would just continue it all to January. I mean, you can open it and just keep it open if anyone's here, and that way we can, move that along.
Okay.
Let the record show that the public hearing is now open for Council Memo 621-18, which is ordinances and a resolution associated with Corridor 80 subdivision. It includes a resolution approving an annexation agreement, an ordinance approving the annexation, an ordinance approving the classification of 101 acres at the southeast corner of Spencer Road and Cherry Hill Road to I-1 light industrial zoning, and an ordinance approving the preliminary plat of Corridor 80 subdivision. This is a public hearing, so comments are in order at this time.
Would anyone like to address the council on this issue?
Mayor, just to clarify, we should probably, open and close it, and that way we can just end it now. So, just, so if there's anyone else that thinks they're going to have the public hearing next time, so, but we're not going to vote on it tonight.
Okay.
If there's no one here to speak, let the record show that the public hearing is now closed on this item. There is a motion that would be in order to table Council Memos 621-18, ordinances and a resolution associated with Corridor 80 subdivision to the January 15th, 2019 council
Motion
meeting.
to table.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to table Council Memo 621-18 to the January 15th, 2019 council meeting. Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under ordinances, Council Memo 623-18, an ordinance approving an intergovernmental cooperative planning and boundary agreement between the City of Joliet and the Village of Plainfield. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor?
Yes.
So it is expiring January 1 of 2024, just to clarify from yesterday.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 624-18, an ordinance amending Section 8-177 of the Municipal Code of Ordinances and Article 5, Section 47-14.2A, Special Uses, All Industrial Districts in the zoning ordinance of the City of Joliet, adding electric fences as a special use subject to certain regulations. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
No.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. Council Memo 625-18, an ordinance amending Section 47-12.2A and Section 47-13.1 in the City of Joliet zoning ordinance, adding firearms dealers and gunsmiths as a special use in B2 central business districts and as a permitted use in B3 general business districts. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 626-18, an ordinance repealing Chapter 19, Article 3, Motor Vehicle Licenses, Sections 19-244 through 19-265. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved. Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 627-18, an ordinance prohibiting the possession alternative nicotine products by persons under the age of 18 and requiring violations of the ordinance regarding smoking regulations to be adjudicated according to the administrative adjudication system. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Just to clarify, as was stated here yesterday, this is about vaping products. So kids are into that vaping, everything is candy or peppermint or chocolate, and it's really getting to be a problem with kids. So I'll vote aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 628-18, an ordinance amending the tobacco licensing regulations to include alternative nicotine products, vaping, removing provisions allowing parents to allow tobacco products be used by minors, and adding delinquent fines as a grounds for non-renewal of a license. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Got ahead of myself.
No, they're actually both about vaping.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Marty. Thanks for the save. I vote aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 629-18, an ordinance amending Section 19-21 overweight vehicles in the Code of Ordinances by adding a section of Schweitzer Road. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 630-18, an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Section 6-6, cruelty to animals by adding 3 further restrictions. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Mayor,
Yes.
Okay, I know we discussed this yesterday, but this was sent to me today, and it's very, very disturbing. And I don't want to hold this particular ordinance up, but we really need to look at adding the tethering. Because just today, I have a video to prove to you and the rest of the council. There's a person in a car today with a dog on a leash. The dog had a broken leg, and he was driving the car with the dog outside on the leash, and the dog was trying to keep up with the car as the car was driving. Now, that is just ridiculous.
Well, we don't need a law, that's illegal. That would be animal
Well,
cruelty.
okay, that is animal cruelty.
So we should call the police.
Well, the
and that
police
person
were
should be
called.
arrested.
The police were called. So, you know, we just need, I want to add something about tethering, something like that. I mean, it was animal cruelty. I don't know what the ticket that was written, I don't know.
They'd be arrested. We just write tickets, and the police arrest people and send them to court. So the state statute is much stricter than what we can do here locally.
So what we need to do then is to get the message out to people, the law enforcement, the city municipalities. We need to protect these animals. It's just absolutely cruel. And I couldn't believe it when I saw this video today. I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't believe there was an arrest made, because I don't believe what happened, everybody was well informed about these state laws. And this is what I've been harping on. And as well as I've also talked to the Mr. Glasgow, State's Attorney's Office, and he's all on board with making everybody more aware of these issues.
If you want, I could invite Mr. Glasgow to a council meeting where him and her staff could kind of give an update on what can be done. in
Yeah,
cases
that
like
would be
this.
great. That
It's
would
on
be
Channel
great.
6 and the media, hopefully we cover it.
And so we can get the word out. I think
We can do that.
I just think we need to do more, okay?
It's a good idea.
All right, thank you. So I will move to approve that.
Okay, it's been motioned to approve Council Memo 630-18, which is an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Section 6-6 cruelty to animals by adding 3 further restrictions. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 631-18 is an ordinance increasing the fine for overweight vehicles on certain roadways. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
We also did that at our committee, and we raised it to $7.50 to send a message, right, Terry?
Yes, we did.
To let people know, once they get caught, the fine is $7.50 in Joliet. So I vote aye as well.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 632-18, an ordinance creating a regulatory framework for pet shop licensing in Chapter 18, Article 13, Sections 18-260 through 18-267. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 633-18, an ordinance creating license fee for pet shop operators. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 634-18, a resolution imposing a moratorium on the issuance of a Class V permits east of Route 59, video gambling and liquor establishments. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
Mayor,
Yes.
it's my understanding that the individual that spoke yesterday did put in an application, so this would not apply to him.
Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 634-18?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
I don't feel it's our responsibility as a city to limit competition. One of these licenses has to be approved in front of us at all times, and I see no reason for this resolution. I vote no.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried 7.
Motion.
I will do my best to get through these contracts.
Pauline's in.
Well, he's a backup.
Your backups. Under award of contracts, Council Memo 636-18, award of construction services contract for the emergency salt dome roof replacement project. Council Memo 637-18, award of contract for the Lambert Street, Leach Avenue High Street Storm Sewer Improvements 2018. Council Memo 638-18, award contracts for the 2019 Biosolids Disposal Program. Council Memo 639-18, award a contract for the 2019 Drinking Water Sodium Hypochlorite Solution Purchase. Council Memo 640-18, award a contract for the 2019 Wet Weather Treatment Plant Sodium Hypochlorite Solution Purchase. Council Memo 641-18, award a contract for the 2019 Aluminum Sulfate Solution Purchase. Council Memo 642-18, award a contract for the manganese sulfate purchase 2019. Council Memo 643-18, award a contract for the blended phosphate purchase 2019. Council Memo 644-18, award a contract for the sodium permanganate solution purchase 2019. Council Memo 645-18, approve public utilities electrical maintenance service contract 2019. Council Memo 646-18, approve a professional services agreement for pre-treatment program assistance. And Council Memo 647-18, award a contract for elevator maintenance for 2019-2021. Recommend, yes. It's recommended Council Memo 636 through 647-18 be approved.
Chris, I was distracted. If you can go through that list again, please. I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hugg?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Motion carried. Amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 649-18. Approve change order number 8 for the 2017 Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Program. And Council Memo 650-18. Approve amendment number 8 to the Professional Services Agreement for the 2016 Sanitary Sewer Investigations and Rehabilitation Program. It's recommended Council Memo 649 and 650-18 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hugg?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillen?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Next is the city manager's report.
First thing I want to say is Krista, Miss Desiderio is a nice example for all of us. She had a high fever today. You can obviously tell she can barely talk, and she understands the importance of the meetings, the city council meetings, and showed up today, so.
Good job.
I had the opportunity to attend the parade with my family last week. We were there when it started with the tree lighting and the mayor, and we were there when it ended with Santa, which was number 75. Despite the rain and cold, I was pleasantly surprised. A vast majority of the attendees, the ones on the sides of the street, stayed. And I'll tell you, the weather was miserable, and I was really expecting most people to be gone, but most people were still there. So I guess that's a testament to our residents. Second, a reminder to our residents that if you have electronics and/or household hazardous waste, Waste Management will pick it up at your door at their At Your Door program at no additional cost. The information is on the city's website. To schedule a pickup, again, check the city's website or 1-800-449-7587. Email atyourdoor@wm.com or go to the website www.wm@yourdoor.com. And the last thing is a special recognition to Lieutenant Robert Brown of the Joliet Police Department. It's one of those amazing right time, right place stories. While heading home last week, he was keen enough to observe an incident at the 7-Eleven, and due to his quick action, the criminals were apprehended.
Marty, can you touch real quick on the holiday lights map?
Sure.
that we put together?
Sure. So the idea of the holiday lights is for residents who have, lights that, people would go and see, or not even, but just, general lights, and then to send now he put me on the spot, and I can't think of the email address, but send an email, and what the city will do is we just put, no other information, just a pinpoint on the map, and then the residents can then track their own or check their local area where they want to drive and kind of map your own route of all the best holiday lights in Joliet.
Thank you.
Next is new business, not for final action or recommendation.
I have nothing.
Public comments, is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to take the time to speak today. I'd like to speak on ordinance number, sorry, give me 1 second here.
Sir, can we get your name for the
Oh,
record?
sorry. My name is William Stanford. I'm a terminal operator here in Joliet, Illinois, which basically means I distribute the video gaming terminals you see in the local bars and restaurants. I also own Stanford Vending, which is another business registered here in Joliet. I do the jukeboxes, pool tables, arcade games, the other amusement devices that everyone hopefully enjoys in their local bars and restaurants. So I'm speaking on Chapter 13, Article 2 for the Vending Machines Ordinance, amending Chapter 18, Article 1, License and Business Regulations, Section 18-20. As I said, I'm a terminal operator. My operator ID number is 160600930. My IGB handler ID number is 120508853. I can be found at igb.illinois.gov under one of the listed terminal operators. The gentleman that you were referring to yesterday who was licensed for the video gaming was Lauren Brooks. He's the president of the Ravens AC Club. And I can assure you, so long as this ordinance is in effect for the $100 per terminal per month, along with the city tax for the city sticker licensing of $250 per terminal, that they will probably not be receiving machines. So I'm actually the licensed operator that is assigned with them. I have been working with the Ravens AC Club for a number of years. I can tell you, based on what the cost of the equipment is and what the regulatory cost is now to operate the machines, even for myself to do the maintenance, which I do all the maintenance, repairs, and operations of my own terminals. For the most part, I can't actually afford to provide machines that would help save a 501(c) nonprofit that donates the majority of their earnings to St. Jude Children's Hospital. The Ravens has been an active charity, or an active athletic club as well, since 1929. Has a very long history. Like I said, without any kind of change to this ordinance, I don't see any foreseeable way to operate or to continue moving forward. I've taken the time to prepare numbers and other information for the city to review, or if any council members would like to talk to me about it personally, I have all that information available, because a lot of the actual local bars, taverns, restaurants, nonprofits, they, after the ordinance is being pushed through now, there's a good possibility the terminal operators will actually close out. A friend of mine, who's also another terminal operator, does the Elks Lodge located on Frontage Road right by 55. He's already expressed to me that he will be pulling the machines from there. It has not become financially viable for him even to continue moving forward with it. I prepared a list of a lot of the locations that more than likely where the terminal operators will pull out, and I have also spoken with a number of my competition who said, based on this ordinance passing and the licensing that's going to go through, that they will actually be pulling their machines. Now, this doesn't actually affect a lot of your gaming parlors, which is, I believe, is what the moratorium was originally designed to stop, and I understand that. But more than likely, you'll lose about 2/3 of your local bar and restaurant business. As I said, I have all the numbers that I've run. My specialty is accounting information systems. That's how I started out in school. I've been in this industry almost my entire life. And I'd be happy one-on-one, or like I said, for a group to go over it, because based on the city's budget, it's probably going to take a dent from this. So unfortunately, that's all I have to say on it. No, it's nothing cheery or nice, but that is the reality of the situation here. I currently operate in 4 locations within Joliet out of the 5 I have live now, and there's a good possibility that come the end of December, I'll be pulling out 2 of them. So I want to thank you all for your time. As I stated, I have all the information available. If anybody would like to review it, I have all the numbers run. Like I said, my specialty is accounting information systems. That's what I do best, in conjunction with operating my business. So thank you all. Have a good day. I hope for the best.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hi, everyone. I've been here before. Peggy Grandal from Rye Hill Drive in Joliet. Hope you'll indulge me trying to wind up 3 years of coming in front of the Land Use Committee and the council, just with a few words. Over the last year or so, some really good things have happened, and I'm so grateful for it. An ordinance prohibiting animals being used as prizes and auction items, an ordinance prohibiting animals riding in the back of pickup trucks, and tonight's licensing of the pet stores. And although that will help put an end to criminals operating a pet store in Joliet, it's not going to keep out the stores that operate by defrauding our unknowing citizens. The council voted 1 year ago to support the pet industry by using an ineffective, unenforceable state act, even after being provided factual data and testimony. An Amish puppy broker spoke in front of the council, and for those like me, being in the same room with him was like being in a room with Satan himself. You could have researched and learned about him, but instead, most votes were cast in favor of the commercial dog breeding industry. Joliet could have joined the 2 states and nearly 300 communities who've enacted humane ordinances. I hope for the opportunity to revisit this in Joliet one day. Tonight, the animal cruelty ordinance that you voted for was a bit better than the current vague state law. The Land Use Committee was given a copy of the ordinance from Marion County, Indiana, which in population and it's mixed of rural and urban, being very, very similar to Will County. It spelled out specifics about not being okay to leave a dog tethered on a chain. It contained language about extreme heat and cold conditions, about sheltering. It was very specific, but with enough wiggle room in it that officers would very easily be able to work with it. It would insist law enforcement in both building a cruelty case and to help educate pet owners, because quite honestly, some people don't realize that maybe what they're doing isn't the best action for their pets to keep them safe. What passed tonight is subjective and puts a heavy burden on our police department. And folks in rescue like myself have a lot of people reaching out to us with concerns about at-risk animals, especially in the winter months. I truly hope this ordinance does what you hope it will, because if it doesn't, animals will suffer and die. My only public speaking is on behalf of animal welfare, and I'm proud to be a dog rescuer. I do what I do because my 13-year-old border collie, who is nearing the end of his days, I do it for him. His days have been filled with love. He's never lived on a chain in a circle of dirt. He's had a home to live in, not an igloo doghouse devoid of straw to keep him warm. He has a backyard and a cage, only not 6 inches bigger. Not a cage 6 inches bigger than his body, as the Animal Welfare Act states is entirely legal for the commercial breeding industry. We're blessed that he's lived a long and healthy life, one that so many pet store puppies are not able to do because of the health issues that are so prevalent. I want those animals to have a life like my dog has. And I truly hope one day, I thank you for all that you've done. There's been a lot accomplished here, but there's still a long way to go. And I hope that one day you'll see the bigger picture and be willing to help Joliet become a truly humane community. I know that there's several dog lovers on the city council, and I ask you this, as such, I ask you not to look away from the problem even though ordinances have been passed. It's never too late to make a difference. And of course, special thanks to Jan, who's always been a supporter of those without a voice. And I just hope that you will not let this go far from your minds. Don't forget what's going on out there. And please help us become humane. And I do hope all of you have a good holiday season.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Next is mayor and council comments.
Yes, yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to thank the Joliet Police Department. On Saturday, we had another just exciting event with the Santa's Cops. And these officers of ours, they come together and they make sure that children who are less fortunate have some Christmas. So I wanted to say hats off to JPD. Again, just such an amazing program. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gavin slipped her mind. Tomorrow there is a fundraiser at Plainfield South High School. You can come and see the cheerleaders from many different grade school, junior highs, and the high schools at Plainfield South. And all you need to provide or pay to get in is a toy that is donated. And then, of course, it goes to Forest Park Community Center. And do you remember the time that this event starts?
It's going to be, well, the event will start about 4:30, about 5:45 should be just about. So get there before 5:45. Bring your toys. But it will start at Plainfield South about 4.
And I'm sure you can see it on the Plainfield South website. As a graduate of Providence High School and a proud parent and supporter of all Plainfield schools, including the high schools, I extend my sincerest congratulations to the Hilltoppers and their 5A championship game. I really do. Congratulations to all the young men who were on the team, to the entire school, to the coaches, to the families. Congratulations. Job well done, gentlemen.
I also attended the Shop with a Cop. I've been doing it with my husband. I shop with a cop every day because my husband's retired, and we've been doing it since it was started at Kmart years ago. And it was quite an event. They had 88 children there, and we always go as backup. And as it happened, my husband had two brothers, and I had the 2 sisters. And they're quite little con artists when you got them shopping with you. They always want that little extra, but you know what? You don't mind it because you don't know what these kids live, where they live, the environment they have, and they're just so tickled to death that they're going to have a great Christmas. And I'm sure the mayor will talk about it as well. Also, just for the record here, Jim Trisna, can you check the 700 block of Bluff Street? I guess there's several huge potholders down there. I just got that phone call before I came down here tonight. And also, just for the record, I did not get that video from Ms. Grandal. It was from an outside party, just so you know.
Yeah.
Just happened to be that they were there today, so, all right. And that's all I have to say, thank you.
And a number of items. Number one, Shop with a Cop Saturday, great turnout. There were probably about 50 police officers, maybe more, that were spending money out of their own pockets to help our young people in our community. So thank you. I think most of the city council was there that day. Thank you for attending. The same morning on Saturday, the Slammers had their holiday open house toy drive. I was able to attend that. Thank you to Slammers for doing that. November 21st, Cornerstone had their 20th annual champagne luncheon. I was able to attend along with Councilman Dickinson, who was a celebrity waiter. Don, I'm not going to embarrass you anymore.
Thank you. Thank you.
But thank you for volunteering. It was a great time.
Nice outfit, though, I saw it on Facebook.
November 23rd, story time with Santa at the public library. I was invited again to read to the kids who were downtown. That was a couple hours before the parade, so they were downtown for all the events. Very nice event put on by the library. Great job for the holiday, Light Up the Holidays parade. Again, I think most or all the city council was present. That was a great night again. It wasn't cold, but the weather was pretty bad with the rain. So, great turnout though, and I really enjoyed that event, that annual event. Congratulations to Joliet Catholic for the big win. I was downstate. I went down with my daughter on Saturday. She's a senior who's applying for the University of Illinois. So after the game, we walked around campus. But great game, great finish. And then, of course, on the 27th, they had their ceremony at Joliet Catholic. I was invited. Councilman Mudron, you spoke. Councilman Dickinson, you also were there. So again, congratulations to Joliet Catholic. We need to get that football team at a council meeting in the near future to honor them here. Couple other items. Yesterday, in this chambers, Judge David Garcia, who's a Joliet resident, and Judge Vince Cornelius, who was born and raised in Joliet, were sworn in. They were elected in the November elections as circuit judges. Congratulations to both of them. It was a huge turnout. More people than we could fit in the room, so it was great to see. Again, I know Councilman Dickinson, you were here for that. And then also yesterday afternoon, the Beef Shack on Jefferson Street had their ribbon cutting. I was there at the Chamber of Commerce. If you haven't tried the Beef Shack yet, I would encourage you to do so. I think the food's outstanding. My family loved it.
It's packed every night.
Packed every night. The owner said they're doing 3 times the expected business right now, so they're really doing well. But nice little addition to Joliet. I'm glad to welcome them here. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.